Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Robert Bowen. I'm a senior lecturer in international entrepreneurship at Cardiff University in Wales, and I'm also co-editor of Regions, one of the publications from Regional Studies Association. I'll be chairing today's session. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to the webinar on Writing an Academic Blog, Avenue for Easy, Accessible and Diverse Knowledge Sharing by Regional Studies Association. The Regional Studies Association is the global and interdisciplinary network for urban and regional research, development, and policy. And as someone who's been involved with regional studies for the past 8 years or so, I've seen how the RSA supports its members with the latest research, funding schemes, networking, and publishing opportunities and spaces to grow research and careers. So I'm sure that today's webinar will be really valuable. Just a note on housekeeping before we start. The webinar will be recorded and will be made available on the RSA Lounge. During the presentation, please put any questions that you have into the Q&A box, and then we'll take all questions at the end of the presentation. So let me introduce you to today's speaker. We are delighted to be joined by Lavanya Gupta, who is a rural geographer and PhD scholar at Tata Institute of Social Sciences in India, where she examines the intersections of innovation, entrepreneurship, and community development in the Himalayan region. Lavanya is also the editor of the RSA blog, and so today's session will cover academic blog writing, how it helps in academia, who reads academic blogs, and also who benefits from them. So we look forward to Lavanya's presentation and also the discussion afterwards. So welcome everyone, and over to you, Lavanya.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Robert. And apparently my video is stuck. So I have to say my apologies, first of all, that I might have to switch off my video. However, the presentation would go smoothly. Also, I would be saying thank you for everyone who has joined. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending on the time zones that we are in. I think I would start sharing my screen. And close my video for a second. Okay, so first of all, as I just have this question, like what is a blog and why am I saying to write an academic blog? So basically, as I can see that some of you are aware of academic writing, accessible topics, and blog writing, what I would suggest here is having a conversation from journal writing point of view and how it is different from a different platform. So basically, in journal writing, as we all know as academicians, it's very, very rigorous. It's tough, and you need a lot of time to go into it. Yeah. So think of it as uh, the reels. Whenever we open our phones, whenever we see anything related to just open a TikTok or an Instagram, or you just open uh, YouTube shorts, what do we see? What do we read? We just get hooked on in the first 30 seconds of any kind of reel, especially if you're interested in science or if you're interested in political science or sociology or any kind of academic work, or just for the lack of it, if you're interested in any kind of reel which gives you any kind of information, what do? We just get hooked on to the 30 seconds, and then we see what are the facts, what are the evidences that they keep telling you about, right? So for me, the academic blogs are pretty much are the academic reel in terms of disseminating an information, thought provocation, or basically giving insights to what you did on the field or what you have been doing in the field. Again, coming back to the journal papers and thesis writing, when we go on the field, it's mostly about uh, you have a very specific objective, and that objective, it could be a method in which you use quantitative or qualitative methods. In that, you sometimes also have to observe and write a lot of things on the field, which might not translate into a thesis paper or a journal paper. That is where something very important, okay, to your research, but you feel like, how do I just bring it out to the people? How can I just write it and show it to the people? Okay, this is also very important, however it's not related to my present academic paper or my present thesis writing. This is where academic blogs can come in. So Alex, if you could change another slide. So you can see, like in this next slide, the whole idea of it, like there's an academic journal which has a whole process of you start with something and then you have a intro, then you have a literature review, methodology, and then you give your time to write a paper for about like 3 to 4 or 5 months. However, in academic blog, you would see it's very flexible and accessible. It mostly follows a narrative flow. It provides you a rapid publication process, and it's only about 600 to 800 words. Uh, to go forward with it, I would also like to say in the next slide, which is about how different platforms are available for us to write in academia or thought provoking conversations. So, obviously, one of these is an academic blog, which is for the research dissemination. And the other one is an op ed or a guest essay, which we generally see. Uh, as in, just think about it in this way: what are op eds or guest essays? Anytime a policy is formed, anything that changes in geopolitics, anything that is happening in the news becomes an op-ed or a guest essay the next day or the very next editorial comment coming on the Monday morning or the Sunday morning or whenever you see it. It's in the newspapers. It's a very authoritative, direct critique, policy analysis. It's a quick news within a persuasive tone to analyze and see a different perspective. Then there are regular blogs. What is the difference between regular and an academic blog? So, regular blogs, as we all know, if you go to a particular place and you like that particular cafe or a food, then you are like, okay, let me just create a little bit of story around it, and I'll ask people to come and share the same experiences with me, right? So that is a regular blog. It is personal, persuasive content to inspire. Then what is a zine? Zine is basically much more thematic with uh, creative tone, highly visual and tactile. It includes long form articles or different uh, creative arts or poetry or different forms of it. So these are the different platforms where whatever is not getting translated into your journal article or in your thesis, you could actually go forward and publish it out. So basically, in an academic blog, it is more related to the core of the evidence. This is a similarity with the journal blog, which I'll show you in the next slide, uh, which is why would you write an academic blog when you have so many avenues already? Like you could write an op-ed, you could write an personal blog also, like in a WordPress or a Substack where your journey is being translated, or you have a place called Zine where you could just send in an article related to your work. What does an academic blog give you? So basically, first of all, it is about testing your ideas. As an early career, all I can say is it's very difficult to figure out if my idea is good enough, if what I'm writing is going to make an impact in the literature. So maybe you can just try it with an academic blog. What I'm trying to say here is, if you are confused when when you're writing your literature, it mostly comes to us like, okay, there are different angles to one problem, correct? But our objective is only very particular to write about maybe the direct impact. But what about the impact that has already happened, the history of it? Or what is something which is very current? There are different structures, relational structures that we want to write about, but that is not our objective. So, this is where you can test it out. You can think out loud, you can write about it, and then you can share it with any platform which is an academic blog. What does it do? It helps you to build a readership. It gives you a platform to voice out and test your ideas. It is a place which is highly connected with policymakers, journalists, different sets of scholars at different positions. And it also allows you to connect with the community, because each platform, be it our RSA blog or LSC blog or Oxford publications, all these blogs have a typical set of comment section. They allow you to give a bio of yourself. They will ask you to give your social media handles, your academic handles. This is where you build your own community so that you realize and you're not stuck in one place. When you need to understand more about it, you're like, okay, this is my topic. My topic is on maybe how does climate change affect us right now, while some of the nations are saying, okay, we do not agree with it. Some of the nations are like, we have to do it. The global south or the global north, what is the narrative? You have your own perspective because you are in one particular place. What is the other person thinking? This is a place where you can get to have an interaction about it. So this is why I would request you to look into the academic blogs and write one for us. Basically, it is, and also there's one process of rapid dissemination. So in a journal writing, if anybody has already gone for it, you would realize there is a gestation period of like first editorial decision should come within 15 to 20 days, and then it takes 2 to 3 months for a peer review. Then you go back. If you get accepted, that's well and fine. That is super great. However, if there are some suggestions, then you have to go back and you have to rewrite it. However, in blogs, it's pretty much easy. You send it within 2 months. If the pipeline is really, really open, it gets published. A little bit of things that you have to look into is coming on the next slide. Basically, what does an academic blog entail? Oh, okay. So before that, also we'll just look into who reads the blogs, obviously. Uh, so any journal paper that we read, what do we see there? It goes to a specific journal on Dale and Francis, or you go into like any other Scopus Index journals and you see who is the audience. You go and publish it for a very specific specializing audiences who are interested in a particular topic. However, in an academic blog or any blog platform, what happens is it is connected with different audiences, correct? So there are early career researchers, there are seasoned scholars, there are authors who are like resharing their own research which has been already published. So you can just go back and see, listen, this was, see, all the policies are connected, correct? The policy which was made today can already be have some different kind of additions and submissions later, so it keeps coming back, it's always circular. So maybe a paper which was published 10 years back is relevant now. So be for any person who thinks that this is something which should come out right now, can form a blog out of it, a 600-word blog out of it, embed their research and get it republished to see for the current audiences. Okay, this was really relevant work and it adds to the current conversation. Again, it's very actionable and up to date. For the next slide, as you can see, so basically, what is an academic blog, the structure of it, and how it is same or different from a journal writing. Again, regular blogs, if you go and write something on Substack, or if you're writing on WordPress, that you went to a cafe and you really found it really good, you added some pictures and you want them to come, it is very different from an academic blog. Why? Because academic blogs are evidence based. It allows you to cite your references. You're trying to inform the audience, you're not trying to inspire them. You're trying to make them you're trying the reader to understand this is a really important thing. This is how the things are happening. This is how different organizations are connected, and this is how the public is getting affected. So here's something which is on a serious note than from a regular blog that you would publish on your own. An academic blog is basically, like I said, it's a reel of your rigorous work that you do continuously in your academic years. But you see that this is something which should come out as a conversation for a wider audience, so that people read about it and say, okay, maybe I can do a research on this topic if this is something which is relevant. Maybe I can add on to your own research and build a community with you, start a collaboration with you. It's very public facing. Again, the next slide that you see is also explaining the same thing. What are the nuances of an academic blog? How it is different from a journal publication? You can see it's very, very flexible in its structure. It is evidence based, yes. How it is different in tonality from a journal article or an academic blog? And journal article is supposed to be serious, very objective, very formal. You're not supposed to show your biasness in this. You have to have an exclusive peer review literature with almost no gray literature added to it. You can have some photographs, obviously. You can have tables. However, in an academic blog, again, it comes back to the same thing. You can add real literature, you can add news reports, you can give insights that so and so person in this newspaper editorial said this, and this is where the policy is attached, like having a connection with it. You can also add the field insights in form of videos and photos and give captions as you saw them fit. Correct? So like what has happened, what is evolving, how it is impacting. The captions could relate your emotions or relate the emotions of the field, of the participant who got in there. However, these all nuances are not generally getting translated completely in a journal article, which is 8,000 words, but you have to stick to a lot of rigorous structures of literature review and introduction, and then discuss and your findings and discussions. So there is a little bit of a little bit of restriction, to which I'm saying you can get a flexibility in academic blog. It is simply a different conversational subject where you are like, okay, I experienced I experienced a good. I had a good experience in a field where so and so person gave me insights about the local culture. This local culture was had a lot of history, and right now it has been uh, it is degrading or something. So that is something which is a nuance which you do not want to write it in a journal, or you do not want to write it in your thesis, but you can write it in an academic blog, and you can show like this is the community which is benefiting from it. This is the place where uh, people don't have a relational structure, which is very microcosmic. Okay, so this is how it is different from a journal article. In the next slide you would see basically an idea of a journal paper, which I call it as a 10-course meal. However, a blog is an appetizer and an invitation to a dinner. So just all these slides were here to explain you like how the things are different. Basically, in journal writing, very important, very rigorous, very serious. However, in academic blogs, you can get a little laid back. You can just ask people, okay, I did this work, I'm writing a paper on it, and this is something teaser of it. Okay, so this is a gateway to your research, not a replacement of it. I'm often asked, why should I write a academic blog when I'm like writing a research paper, and will it be a self plagiarization of my work? And I often tell them, listen, you don't have to write all of it. You just have to write what you're not writing in a journal paper, what you have thought, and maybe it is something related to your literature. When we write a thesis, when we are writing a whole uh, uh, journal paper or something, you write 6 to 17 pages of literature, correct? Not all of it gets translated in your journal paper, correct? So if that is something which you're thinking, see, all of my literature is here and this should get published, and there's like a little bit of laid backness, or you're trying to just portray it into a field dynamics, you could just write it into a journal. You can just write it into an academic blog. So basically, a gateway, an add on for it, not a replacement. Again, the next slide you could see suggests the essentials of an blog. So basically, entails of a hook or a title, then a paragraph which starts to define a clear problem. What do you do in a journal paper? You basically start with a clear problem, and then you write a little bit of literature and go on forward with it. However, in an academic blog, you have to be very, very precise of what is your point. You start with the point and you end it with the point. You don't you have to be very focused in this. You do not have to go around connecting different determinants and different point of views. You can have a simple essay narrative of things that you are listening or you're observing from the field or from the policy analysis or the work that you have been doing. What does it entail in the body? Basically, it has some two or three paragraphs where you could just have headings and hyperlinks and evidences attached to your work and the arguments, and then the conclusion with the takeaways or what is the government doing or not, what the government is not doing. Again, in the next slide, you will see. In the next slide, you would see how the blogs are, what kind of blogs do we have in on the RSA platform. There are narrative blogs, there are research-based blogs, there are policy commentaries, and there is also, I think the last part, is the last part not visible? Uh, there's also an infographic data-driven blog. So basically, you can read the different types of blog that we have published on our platform. First is a narrative blog, which was published as a part of a special series on vernacular regions. The idea of this platform of the special series that have been continuing is to see how different aspects of regions can be explored through different disciplines. So basically, this was vernacular regions of understanding how linguistics also affect a lot of regions, how those are taken care of by by the government and the community, or if there is a difference or the lag between them. So you can see that the narrative blog was published recently by Ayush, and it was on the uh, tide and territory vernacular regionality of Maharashtra Koli fishes that we'll see in the next slide for a little bit of reading. Then you can see the research summary paper which was published, which translates what? Basically, all the papers that are already published and you want to revamp it or you want to republicize it. This is the blog by Subina. Then you will see another reflective blog, which is on farming in the upper D Valley. Should I stay or should I go? Which is a field insight, basically. You can see a policy commentary which was published on the blog on celebrating Jane Jacobs in the time of contentious transport politics in Toronto. And this was something which was to directly uh, impact the policy which curtailed the green lanes or the bike lanes in Toronto. So basically, the author was like, I'm gonna be publishing the historical point of view. When was it? When was the Green Lanes formed? What was this festival? How this festival actually involves a lot of people who come through those bike lanes. And now, when you are saying it has to be removed, what will happen? So it was kind of an op-ed, but very reflective and narrative with an evidence of the history and current policy. Then you see an infographic or data driven blog which is putting graphicy back into geography. It is based on the tool of GIS and GF softwares, basically how to represent regions. So in this platform, you will see regions is very, very broad, correct? So the tools will come in, the policies will come in, the observations will come in, everything that relates to region and its research comes in on our platform. In the next in the next slide, you will see the different ways in which the blogs have translated and why I'm saying this is a narrative blog or research-based blog. So if you see this in this narrative blog, you will read the first paragraph if you want to. It's written in a way to take you back in the Maharashtrian coastline where the Koli fishing communities stay. It is telling you like what is it? What is a Koli community? Where are they staying? What is the research? What is the problem right now? And who has written about disruption? So you can see the hook point is right there. And in the next paragraph, if you read, and if you take like 30 seconds, you will read like it gives you a description of the community, how it is so much engrossed with the sea, how their lives are so much intertwined with everything that is happening there. In this whole blog, there is a critique on the policy of the development along the coastline of the Mumbai, and how this vernacular regionality of the Koli fishing community who stay there is continuously being challenged, how they are being displaced, or what is the position of the government into listening into this. That is the narrative format of the blog, where it's simply taking you back and forth in a essay format. Okay, so in the next slide, you will see an action type which is based on the research summary example. In this research summary example, you will see Subin's blog, which is on productivity, geography and firm survival. And it starts with a question. So why do some firms weather and others disappear? This is a short blog from a working paper published by Subin on a platform. I think it's Oxford or Cambridge. And I'm sorry if I'm not remembering this correctly, but in this blog, what they have done is they have taken some snippets of the working paper and written a whole blog out of it, made it cohesive for the people to think about what did the COVID do basically to the small scale firms, and how the Spain how all this is still creating an impact in Spain. So basically, you can read more about it. And in the next slide, you will see how this content got embedded in the end with with the key takeaways and a paper at the end. That this is a working paper which is published.
Lavanya,
It is
sorry,
published.
just to stop you a second. Just to let you know, the time is running out. We've got 3 minutes left on
Okay,
the
okay.
session. So just to let participants know that we may run over for a few minutes as well, while we take some questions afterwards. That's all. Thanks.
Yes, yes, yes. I think we are about to end. It's just the block types. Okay, so in the next blog, you will see again an infographic blog that we have already discussed about it, how graphicy is supposed to come back, and how Jacob has translated this for the people, that people should bring back map making for geography representation. Uh, Another friendly tips in the end, basically, it's the last part of it, which is what should you have in a blog? Basically, one idea, one post, and stay focused. Do not just try and summarize all of your research points into a singular blog article. Keep it intriguing and descriptive. You can ask compelling questions. Make it scannable. Use short paragraphs, clear subheadings, bullet points. Evidence is everything. Again, because it's an academic blog, this is very important. You have to have like evidence for all of it. And the key difference, as you can read here, is the idea is to have lead with the main takeaway and ease into the body, speed and clarity over academic sequencing right now. Okay, so just have a quick uh, uh, formation of the wording and just go forward with it. What can be used? There are a few slides what you shouldn't use in the blog. Basically, in the next one is the figurative language. Avoid using the similes and metaphors and personifications, hyperboles or repetitions. Again, or another slide which also says that alliteration should be avoided, direct address, emotive languages should be avoided. However, what can you use? In the next slide, you will see inclusive languages and rhetorical questions, as you can see in a blog already by Subina, that you can ask a question and then you also have to explain why you asked that question. So, what is the basic take? Uh, so basically, what makes a blog a good blog? The key rubrics is like be clear, single focused, grounded in scholarly literature, accessible, engaging, uh, jargon free, insightful. If you have jargons, provide hyperlinks or research papers to it, insightful, analytical, and original. The pitfalls are obviously if it is too broad, unsupported claims, overly academic, full of jargons, or purely descriptive. And I think I'm ending with an invitation for everybody that we have calls open to for everyone to but to just contribute to our rolling blogs and historical regions. And the next upcoming theme on researching regions. Details are available on our platform of RSA blog. And I hope now we can take some questions.
That's great. Thanks very much, Lavanya, for a really detailed presentation there around academic blog writing. That was really interesting. Just a word for participants that we maybe spend just a few minutes just to take some questions. We'll run over for the next few minutes or so, hopefully ending within the next 5 minutes. The first question that's come in then is, where do we start looking for appropriate places to submit a blog?
Okay, so for the places, it depends on the type of research that you're doing. Already there is a blog by LSE, by MIT, Cambridge, Oxford, and ours, obviously RSA. If the research revolves around the topics that Oxford, just in LSE, London School of Economics, you can see their blogs are basically based on economics and policy. Okay, there's also micro and macro relational research that keeps getting published. At MIT, again, you can see the type of, it is similar to how you find a journal for your research. It is similar to that. For RSA, I can tell you anything that relates to region in form of policy, field work, observation is welcome. So you have to just reach out to the editors, basically reach out to the editors. If they say yes, it's good, and don't shy away from reaching out. That is one thing that I would suggest, because most of the time what happens is we don't have themes. So if there are no themes, it's up to the platform editor to figure it out, if it matches with the platform ideas, if it adds to the organization's idea of the kind of work they are doing already, the kind of work they are already publishing. And I hope this answers.
That's great. Thanks for that. In terms of the RSA blog, could you tell us a bit about maybe the types of articles that you're looking for, and are there any specifics of regional focus that you look for within the RSA blog articles?
Yes. So in this platform, what I do is there are two ways in which you can contribute. One is the special series that is going on currently, which is on historical regions, which is specific to how ambitious projects or the regime change has continuously continuously impacts the regions of different places, like maybe Middle East, like Sudan, like in Africa. So these are the like current focus, and you can read the whole call where it says it is not just present, it also historically colonized nations, and how those policies are still continuing in the region, or what are the ambitious projects. So this is like one theme where I'm looking forward to. Another thing which I'm looking forward to is the rolling blogs. So rolling blogs are like anything that comes to your mind, just send it across. It's not very specific. It is about, you have to stick to the ideas of, if it represents regions, policy, and innovation, not particularly all of them, but there is a cohesion between these three. So this is something which I look forward to. And there's another theme which is coming forward, which is researching regions, and it is more about how do you define region, irrespective of where are you at the stage of academic writing. So it'll be coming soon.
That's great. And there's another question here that asking about the RSA blog. Who do you reach out to? Would people contact you directly or go through the RSA?
You have to come to me directly. You can just write to me at rsablog@regionalstudies.org. You can just send an email to me, and you will obviously receive a response within a week if it does suit to me. So see, kind of research that I'm also looking forward to is like, I got a interest on period poverty in Assam. So just think about it. It's about anything that represents any region policy. Okay, it's not very restrictive. You send it out. If there is something where I could suggest you there is a better platform, maybe I could do that too. But most importantly, if it is something which is sticking to the policy making, it is sticking to representation of regions, it is accepted.
I see. There's one message in the chat that looks at asking around political and feminist geographies. This is something that would fit into the RSA blog.
Yeah, I would have to read your drafts. Obviously, I think not recently, we did not publish anything on queer subjects or feminist geographies, but I think I think we can accommodate it. It's not something that we will just reject it outrightly. All topics are welcome.
I see. That's great. Thanks. Just as we wait to see if there's any more questions that come in, I've got one last question. I guess one of the challenges around writing a blog would be to try and sort of capture research within a small word count, like 700 to 800 words or so. Do you have any advice for sort of being concise with your articles?
Yeah, so what I generally suggest is stick to one point again. Uh, Go through the blogs that are already published and see how they have like not deviated from a point. See, the idea is to simplify and right and so the audience can read more about it somewhere else where you're going to publish. Don't try and do everything in one blog. It is just 600 words. It's simply as how we write like 250 words or 350 words abstracts are still very rigid and there is no emotions. Here you can actually have a little bit of nuances of what you think and how you think with the evidence, obviously with the evidence. So just as one advice. However, you can reach out with the longer blogs too, and I would work out with you to make it shorter. If it is really interesting and it is really good.
That's great. Thanks very much, Lavanya. I really liked your analogy in the presentation about the blog as like the appetizer compared to the academic articles, like the 10-course meal. I think that was a good way of capturing the difference between the two. Well, I guess that brings everything to a close. And thanks very much to Lavanya for your presentation today. And also thanks very much for the RSA team for organizing another great webinar. Thanks also to all of the attendees for being part of the event and providing questions as well. Obviously, more sessions are available in the webinar series and they'll be announced on the RSA website. So you can find more information there about the RSA webinar series, also our membership, and also maybe other ways in which the RSA can support you in your work. So yeah, thanks very much to everyone for joining today. Wish you all the best and goodbye.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.